Canceled on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM. I'm Kevin Kietzman, your humble host. Out of my podcast dungeon and into the fabulous radio studios of Cumulus, Kansas City. We are happy to be wrapping up the week, and we hope you're looking forward to a terrific weekend. Should be a lot of fun. The Royals are playing the Cardinals this weekend. They're having their World Series celebrations. We'll have more on that coming up in just a few minutes. We will get into the seashell controversy of one former FBI Director, James Comey, on the broadcast today. I may be the only one on staff here at KCMO Radio, but I have a different take on Chris Hernandez and the $1.4 million he's collecting from the city of Kansas City, Missouri. And Steven Spielberg is filming a sci-fi movie set in Kansas City. But they're not filming it here. Not a single scene. We'll have all the details on that. I'm going to surprise Mark with that toward the end of the show. We'll start today with the stadium issue. Pete Mundo with an unbelievable week of guests. I mean, he literally had the former governor of Kansas come on his show and say he's running for governor. It's just, you can't, one person after another, they come in, they make news, they make headlines. He gets the mayor on. It was Mayor Q. It was a terrific interview on yesterday's broadcast. Today, he gets the Speaker of the House from Kansas, Dan Hawkins, on, and then the governor of the state of Missouri, Mike Kehoe, and they both tell this audience they're pretty sure they're going to have the Royals and Chiefs playing there. So at that point, when I heard the governor say this, and he sounded very confident, he's going to have a run out in Kansas June 30th. And the Speaker of the House said, there is no will to extend them. This is the proper move for Kansas. Take it or leave it. Do a deal now or leave it. And that's their position in Kansas. And the governor said, well, we know what the Kansas deadline is. We better get a button gear and have a special session. And he backed that up by saying most big things like this happen in a special session anyway, so let's go do it. I don't know what that looks like with the special session in Missouri, and I don't think the numbers add up, but it may not matter if the numbers add up. If the Chiefs and Royals want to be in Missouri, they'll, I guess, theoretically take less money and stay in Missouri. Again, we've not seen teams do that before, but maybe we're just different here in Kansas City, and that will happen. So I'm going to throw a dart here, folks. I'm just going to tell you, I mentioned yesterday I've never seen a story like this. I've been covering sports and news and different things in this town for 40 years now. And I've never seen a story like this where so many people are saying so much and yet so little, where it's been going on so long and it's so different from where it started. There is no finish line. The stadium leases expire in 2030, so there's still 5 years left. They should be able, from the time of an announcement, be able to open a stadium still by 2029 in Kansas City, if that's what they want to do. So theoretically, there's still maybe a few more months before they have to make a decision. So we've got two confident groups on both sides of the state line. Nobody more confident than Mayor Q. He's absolutely the most confident person in this whole process. But Dan Hawkins in Kansas sounded confident they'll have a deal with both teams at some point here in the next couple of weeks, he said. He thought they would announce that it wouldn't be near the deadline. And then we heard Kehoe say he's going to have a special session, and they're going to have an offer for the Chiefs. I don't think we're learning anything this summer. I think we've been sold a bill of goods by the teams that made it sound like they're going to announce their plans this summer. It's starting to feel to me like that's not it at all. What they're going to have in June is an offer in hand from each state. And then down the road somewhere, they will make their decision. They have basically used the Kansas Star Bond as the deadline to get Missouri off their lazy butts. Jackson County seems like they're out at this point, although they could put a Chiefs thing on the ballot somewhere down the road and probably pass it because it's the Chiefs. But there's no guarantee. Voters don't like these things. Voters don't like them. The Chiefs would be able to say, look, it's not a new tax. We've had this for 30 years or whatever. It's the same tax. It's a continuation. Just vote yes if you want the Chiefs to stay in Jackson County. And it would probably pass. They probably have polling that shows that. But we don't know what would happen between now and the vote. There could be a world event that changes everything. What if COVID happened? A world event that changes everything. What if COVID happened again? I mean, we just had that. What if war breaks out in Europe because Russia won't stop? I mean, there's so many things could happen on so many levels. What if, I don't know, the former FBI director assassinates our current president? Then what happens in America? You don't know when chaos is around the corner. And planning on a vote months down the road doesn't sound like a great idea. What I think is going to happen is Kansas is going to say, okay, we've got two offers. We've got two proposals that we have approved for star bonds with the Chiefs. And those will pretty much stay under wraps. They're not going to tell us where the location is. They're not going to unveil some big, beautiful picture of a model or a model of a new stadium. This man, Dan Hawkins, said today, I don't know where the teams want to go. He said, they don't tell us that. They just ask if we're going to approve the star bonds for them. So it will be a contract that they want this much money for this big of a project that they believe will generate this much sales tax revenue over this many years. And Kansas will say yes. Clearly, Kansas will say yes. And the Royals can do the same thing, and we still aren't going to learn anything. I hope I'm wrong. I want to be wrong on this. Again, I don't have anybody telling me this. This is just what it feels like to me. I'm hearing them both say, oh, we're going to have a deal in place. But the deal in place is really an offer in place. Because the deal can't be done yet. If Missouri doesn't have anything offered right now, how could the Royals or Chiefs have made a decision on Kansas? And if Kansas isn't going to extend, but they're willing to say each of these teams has to have something set in Kansas. Kansas has to be set. And they have to be very specific. The teams will have to say it's this much money, it's this many years, it's this many acres, it's this much tax revenue, it's all those things. And somebody in the state of Kansas will know where that is exactly and details of it, but not the whole group, not everybody in the House, not everybody in the legislature. And they'll be asked to approve the star bonds, and they will. And I think that's probably coming in the next couple of weeks. As Hawkins said, we'll learn that Kansas has approved the star bonds for the Royals and the Chiefs. But that doesn't mean the teams are making an announcement that they're moving to Kansas. Now, would there be a deadline on that? Would Kansas say, great, we'll approve this now, but you have 90 days to accept it? That seems reasonable to me. They've had 3 years to get this organized, or 180 days. I don't think you give them a year to accept it. There has to be some sort of a deadline to accept it on behalf of the Chiefs. And maybe that deadline is June 30th. I don't know that. Kansas can certainly make it that. They can say this offer expires July 1. That's when it would get really interesting. And we've all been sort of working with that date, thinking that's where we are. That June 30th is the breakoff date. We're going to know. If they haven't done a deal in Kansas, then they're staying in Missouri. If they haven't done a deal in Kansas, then they're staying in Missouri. But now I'm beginning to believe they could have a contract with specifics that are agreed to, but not released. And they may have more time to make up their mind. It's what it feels like to me. How could they decide on anything in Missouri when they don't even have an offer from them from Missouri? They don't know what that's going to look like from a special session. They don't know what the numbers will be. The Chiefs and Royals can't know that. They can have meetings with the governor. He's clearly done that. He said it to Pete today. I've met with him. I've talked with the owners. I've told them what we're trying to do. That doesn't mean they're going to get there. What the governor says financially, here's what we're going to do, doesn't mean they'll get there in a special session. So we have to wait. I think all we're getting in June is something from Missouri. We don't know what that is. Exactly from Kansas, what they promised. 70% of any project that's at least $1 billion and seats at least 30,000 people. 70%, a $2 billion stadium. And I think the Chiefs might be, if they built new, they might be closer to 3. They might be close to $3 billion. If they're getting 70% of it, why wouldn't you spend more money? Why would you go cheap on a new stadium if a state is going to pay 70% for you? You build the biggest, baddest thing in the history of the world. Like an epic, iconic thing, the likes of which Kansas City has never seen. The one that we have in this country right now is in Los Angeles. It is easily the most epic stadium ever built in the United States. Everybody says it. Everybody knows it. It's iconic. The day it was opened, it's an architectural marvel. They spared no expense. It's Los Angeles, for crying out loud. It's a beacon. It's a lighthouse near the ocean for the entire world to see. Look at this stadium we built. I think if the Chiefs are going to build a new stadium, that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to build something so crazy great, we're not going to believe it. You think the new airport's better than the old airport? Wait till you see the new Chiefs stadium if they build it. Because Clark Hunt has the money. He'll be getting 70% in the state of Kansas, and money will be no object. The Hunts are different than baseball owners. They like shiny objects. They're Texas through and through. Bigger and better. Jerry Jones did it. He had the most iconic place in America for a long time until they built the one in Los Angeles. Why wouldn't Clark Hunt want to top that one? He may want to stay at Arrowhead. I still find that really hard to believe it. I got a lot of people, maybe you're a lot smarter than me, saying, oh, no, the Chiefs are staying. They would never leave Arrowhead. It's sacred ground. Maybe. I think all we're going to get is both states saying, okay, we have offers for them now. And then it goes back to the team's hand and we sit here and piddle around for I don't know how many months. This is dumb. This is a very Kansas City dumb process. There are real offers on we're the only place in America where the sports teams, there's no question they can stay. And it's funded. And it's been this way for 3 years. Every other town's like, oh, we don't know. Cincinnati's going through it. All these other towns are, we don't know what we're going to get. Tampa's trying to build a baseball stadium. Everybody has all these hurdles. There are no hurdles here. The second they set out about either repairs or new facilities, they had the deal from Kansas in place. It's been in place for 20-some years. The Speedway was paid off 7 years early. Let me repeat that for all you anti-Starbond people. Kansas Speedway, Dan Hawkins said it today. What a wonderful thing that's been for our area. It was paid off 7 years early. It started generating revenue for the state of Kansas, the people of Kansas, 7 years earlier than they projected. That area has been a win. You got to really hate somebody in politics or something to not realize that has completely changed the identity of Kansas City, Kansas in this town. Completely. And if you're paying these facilities off early, it's just a bonus. I think the office will be in place, and that's it. We'll focus in a little bit this weekend on the Royals and Cardinals. 1985 was a special year for me. I mentioned it yesterday. It was my senior year in college, and the Royals won the World Series. This is great. They started last night with a big ball at Union Station. These were expensive tickets. It was a jacket and tie affair. Members of both the 85 and 2015 teams were there. Huge celebration. And out of nowhere, Garth Brooks performs. I mean, if you ponied up and bought those tickets and thought you were going down there to shake Eric Hosmer's hand and take a picture with him, and that was worth the price of admission, you got Garth Brooks last night. That's pretty cool. Still wasn't the coolest moment of the day. For me, I'm an 85 guy. Take your pick. It's your weekend. Just stake your claim. I'm an 85 guy or I'm a 15 guy. I'm an 85 guy. George Brett, holding court with the media, says, it's been different. I'm 72 now, and I go around and I speak at schools, and the kids don't know who the hell I am. They have no idea. He said, I've told the Royals, put me in more nursing homes. I need to go to John Knox Village. Have me speak out there. They all know me. Says he loves going to speak to elderly groups because they all know him. And then he pulls a $100 bill out of his wallet. And he said, we had this deal at the end of the game. We were beating the Cardinals so bad in 1985 that on the bench we decided between the 9 guys that were playing in the field, whichever one of us has the ball in our glove to record the final out gets $100 from the other 8 guys. $800 winner. And he turned to Daryl Motley. He says, Daryl, it's been 40 years. Here's your $100. I forgot. And he handed it right to him. And it was one of the old $100 bills. Like it looked like it was from 1985. And Motley gladly took it. You remember the final out of the World Series was Al Michaels' call to Motley for the title. George Brett paid up this weekend to Daryl Motley for catching the final out of the 85 World Series. 913-408-7957 is our number. If you'd like to join us in the conversation, go ahead. Another restaurant going out of business. It's near Manny's and the places where all the crime has happened, but it doesn't sound like this one's crime. We'll talk about that one next on Uncanceled.
From Leawood to Liberty, it's Kevin Kietzman Uncanceled on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio.
The Royals in 85 had Ronald Reagan mojo. No question about that. President of the United States. And I don't think there's any question about it. The Royals in 2015 really turned up their season the second Trump came down the escalator. Huh? Okay, it's a bit of a stretch. The Royals were good in 14 as well. But hey, it's cool that there's a correlation there between, I think, what is most people in this listening audience's two favorite presidents, at least of their lifetimes. Pretty cool stuff. We have a couple of phone calls. If you want to join us, we can take it on any topic or the topic we've been talking about here. 408-7957 is the number to call. And we begin today with Deb in, I think, Overland Park. Deb, are you with us?
Yes, and I am in Overland Park.
Awesome. How are you today?
Great. And I just enjoyed you reminiscing about the 1985 Royals. And I love the stadium. I love the K. I spent so much time there in the 80s. It was crazy.
Yeah.
It was like a second home.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard for me to see it meet its eventual end here. But I vote for the Northland. The Northland's a great place. I would live there if I wasn't living out here.
Of all the sites that I've seen, Washington Square, East Village, Crossroads, Sprint Campus, wherever, it's easily the best I've seen. I think it'd be wonderful there.
Yeah, and you know, what I couldn't understand about the downtown ideas was the lack of parking. Sure, I know in Chicago they have Wrigleyville and there's no parking, and you take mass transit or whatever, but that's not Kansas City. We drive here and we park our cars. We want our cars around, and I just think parking in the Northland there's potential for that, and so that's what I'd vote if we have to lose the K. But boy, if they tear it down, I want a piece of it.
Well, there'll be a lot for sale if they tear it down. I feel certain about that. And then there would be the opportunity, obviously, if the Chiefs wanted a new stadium in Missouri, if the Royals are moving out, they could build a new stadium right next to Arrowhead. That's always a possibility for the Chiefs as well.
That's true, and I hope they cover it. I hope it has a roof. But I was going to tell you a quick story if you have time.
Mm-hmm.
I was at I don't know what year it was in the 80s, a game when they were playing the Yankees, and Reggie Jackson was on the team, the Yankees, and, you know, there was a love-hate relationship with him. You respected him, but nobody really liked him.
No, we all hated him.
Yeah, I'm trying to be nice.
Yeah,
but
no, we hated him.
Well, do you remember Al Rabowski?
Sure.
The pitcher?
Yeah.
Okay, so must have been close to the end of the game, and Reggie Jackson's up, and I'm sitting in an area where it's all Yankees fans. So I've been quiet the whole game. But Al Rabowski is there, and he's one of my favorite pitchers at the time. And I stood up and yelled, "Strike the bum out." I couldn't help it. I had to. And most of the Yankee fans did not appreciate it, but the two people sitting next to me argued back with him, "Hey, she's been quiet the whole game. Leave her alone."
All right.
And he did strike him out.
The Mad Hungarian. I love the reference. Thank you so much, Deb. I appreciate your call, and thanks for walking down a little memory lane. I'll just remind you, nobody misses Municipal Stadium. Chiefs and Royals, the Chiefs played there, the Royals didn't. Nobody misses that. You build new, and it changes everything. So these things are certainly attainable, and oftentimes the right thing to do, and it is the right thing for the Royals to do. Danny Edwards Barbecue is closing on Southwest Boulevard. After 87 years, the owner says he's going to take it home to a food truck and do it. This is not about crime, which is not far from Manny's, right? Like, Manny's is really close to Danny Edwards Barbecue down there. And when you saw it's closing, I'm like, uh-oh, is this the same issue that Manny's was having, whatnot? That is not the issue. I had an off-air discussion yesterday with Mark after the show about all the pot shops in Missouri that are popping up. And I said, I don't think Kansas is ever going to legalize marijuana. And if they do, I think one of the things is sometimes these places don't look the best, or whatever. But it's not that they're not successful. The building that Danny Edwards Barbecue is in is still owned by Danny Edwards' widow, but the business has been owned the last 7 or 8 years by a different gentleman named Joel Bremer. Joel's been told he's got to leave because the little pot shop next door is buying the entire building. And it's going to be a massive pot shop. And that's where we are in Kansas City now. Hot shops are taking over barbecue restaurants. I don't have any real editorial opinion here. I'm merely taking a look at it, analyzing it, trying to figure out how my town is changing. We talk about how many barbecue places we have. I don't think we have that many. I think we need more. I need one closer to my house. I can tell you that for sure. Danny Edwards Barbecue, move to Lenexa. We'll take you in a heartbeat. Move right on out there. Uncanceled continues next on KCMO Talk Radio.
From Overland Park to Oak Grove, it's Kevin Kietzman Uncanceled on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio.
All right, let's see how many topics we get in one segment here. I got a bunch of things I want to address today that I have not gotten off my chest yet. The first is one of the things you just heard in the news update there, and that is Bruce Springsteen in Manchester, England, who was one of my, rock heroes growing up. And I heard a caller earlier today to Pete's show, a gentleman that said he waited out in the rain at Capers Corner back in the day to buy tickets to go see Bruce Springsteen. And I never saw Springsteen until I was an adult. I just felt like I just couldn't afford any of the tickets. It was just one of those things growing up. And so I never really saw him in the 70s or 80s or anything like that. But legendary musician, songs that I think connect with a lot of white dudes in a lot of places, but certainly someone like myself who grew up in a working class household. My dad was a union man. There were a lot of connections. I don't know what the hell's happened to this guy. And I feel terrible for him because his party's left him. He has just stayed in the Democrat Party while everything that he sang about has left for the Republican Party. Everything. All of his songs, including the anti-war anthems. Think about it. Everything Springsteen wrote about is now Republican. And he's in Manchester, England, crapping on America. Folks, this was the start of his show. This was the start of his tour. He didn't play a chord. He walked out and gave a sermon to these people, knowing that they wouldn't boo him like an American audience would. And hadn't even played anything yet. He talked for like 7 minutes. Is there something wrong with this? This guy had his place in rock history as maybe the greatest live performer ever. The greatest shows. And he walks out in Manchester, England in front of a full house and doesn't play? Just starts crapping on America? I don't even know what that is. Now, I've got a note right here on my sheet. Do not go on about Springsteen. Stop talking about him because I'm going to lose my mind again. On my podcast today, I lost my mind. I cursed a little bit, and I don't ever do that, even on my podcast. But I got a little wound up and excited about this topic because this really, really bothers me, and it shouldn't. And it does. So if this kind of thing bothers you, you can go listen to my podcast. I'll explain much more about Springsteen and his craziness and why this is just so wrong. This is just so wrong. It's kkhasissues.com. Just go there. The Tesla bomber here in Kansas City has been indicted. Owen McIntyre, I got an email from a listener who said when Owen McIntyre is convicted of bombing these Teslas, will they go to a men's prison or a women's prison? So I don't know. Right now, the defense to be out on bond is that they're transitioning to be a female. Prosecutors want this man locked up, Owen, locked up after the indictment. Apparently, the judge hasn't ruled yet. This kid's sitting at home, 19-year-old, sitting at home with his parents, transitioning to be a girl after bombing a Tesla and not behind bars. Wow, we are something else, aren't we? Not as bad as Colorado. 15-year-old illegal alien, not named because it's a minor. 15-year-old illegal alien last year went racing in the streets. I believe that's a Springsteen song. Went racing in the streets in his Jeep, which is a great idea. You want to be racing a Jeep. It's not like they roll over or anything if you're doing 90 miles an hour and you try to turn it. So you're racing your Jeep at 90 miles an hour in a residential neighborhood and he kills a 24-year-old woman. He is an illegal alien 15-year-old that did this. He's been sentenced. 2 years probation and 100 hours of community service work. Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, Donald Trump, anybody who sees this story, go pick him up and send him home. Get him out of the country. Go take him away from Colorado. They're not serious in Colorado. Deport as fast as you can. Secret Service investigation into former FBI Director James Comey. You've seen the seashell formation, 8647. That means kill the president. It's exactly what it means. Everybody knows that. James Comey, the former FBI director, posted on social media, what a cool rock formation, seashell formation on my beach walk today, unquote. Then he immediately posted, I didn't realize some folks would associate those numbers with violence. This is absurd. This is so beneath a former FBI director. Look, he's not going to kill the president. Jim Comey's not going to kill the president. But if Steve Bannon did this, or Roger Stone, or Peter Navarro, one of Trump's old guys, they'd arrest him. Well, I think they did arrest all three of those guys, in fact. for other things. But if you did this, if you were a former Trumpian and you did that about, I don't know, let's say Obama, what kind of crap storm would we have? Why do these people think it's okay to incite violence and do this? Like, somebody every now and then in the Republican Party does something stupid like this, and I get really upset. I hate it. I'm like, please don't do that to our brand. You're doing that, making me look bad, and everybody else, the millions and millions of conservatives that love America, you're making us all look bad. Don't do it. I sense when the Democrats do this, they're cheering him. They're happy that he did. Yeah, that's what we want to do. We want to kill Trump. Let's go get him. Let's go get him in any way that we can. I don't want to make more of a deal of it than it already is. The headline for me is this guy was the FBI director. And you know what you voted for when you voted for Trump. And you know what you've got with the Trump presidency. You know what he's about. Mostly what you voted for was cleaning up the deep state. We are tired of our federal government. Springsteen was standing on stage in England basically saying, we have a dictator. He's a tyrant. He's changing everything. And good old America is going by the wayside. While the majority of America is saying, thank God, the good old America, the last 40 or 50 years, and the way politicians have become ingrained in Washington, D.C., and enriched their own lives with fame, success, money, sex, drugs, possessions, trips, perks. We're sick of it. Springsteen isn't sick of it because he's on the inside of that. He's with those people living that lifestyle. The rest of us out here are just sick by what we've seen. And so we watch these stories come down the pike and we see them happen. And this is exactly what Donald Trump wants to clean out. Jim Comey is a shining example of what has been wrong with our federal apparatus. It is impossible to believe that we had an FBI director that worked directly with the president of the United States. And the FBI director is no longer the FBI director. And the president is back as president of the United States. And he's posting cryptic social media messages about killing that president. This is unbelievable. We hear a lot of words. We hear insurrection. We hear treason. We hear impeachment. We hear all these different things. What can be worse than that? You dedicated your life to serving your government, but now America, not Donald Trump. He's the vessel. America wants to change because we don't like what you've done to us. We didn't like masks. We didn't like shots. We've seen your colors. We know what you're about. You want to control us. You don't want us to have our individual freedoms and liberties. You want to tax us and control us. You want to partner up with Big Pharma and get rich yourself and charge us 8 times the prices for drugs of anyone else in the world. That's what you want. That's not what voters want. And Springsteen goes out of his way in Manchester and makes some crack. Well, there's only one way to change this, and that's from the people and the voters. And Springsteen's too dumb to see that a revolution is going on in America, and the revolution is a giant red group of people that are sick of their federal government running everything. Knowing that those on the left that are embedded in the deep state are out to do stuff like this. He never wanted to help the president. That had to be the worst FBI director for any president ever. Think how much he hates him. He's got Trump derangement syndrome. He's posting pictures of seashells, 8647, kill the president. Kash Patel's the new director, and he says, this is a Secret Service issue. We'll let them look into it. We'll support them in any way, but it's their deal. You know what? That's right, Kash Patel. As best you can, stay out of politics. And should you come across crooked Republicans, throw the book at them. Go get them. I don't care who it is. If you see it happening in D.C. and it's a Republican and it's bad and they're enriching themselves or stealing or grifting, go get them. That's what we sent you there to do. So I think it is right for his posture to be like, I'm not going to get political and just go after Jim Comey right now. That's the Secret Service. We'll let them look into this. We'll support them in any way that they ask. A lot of people are disappointed that Kash Patel didn't just go put cuffs on James Comey. And I don't think that's the way. I don't think that's what we want at this point. I don't think it's a real threat to the president. It's just so beneath somebody with the FBI. It's disgusting. Really disgusting. I'm the only person here, I think, at KCMO that is good with Chris Hernandez getting this $1.4 million from Kansas City, Missouri, and I'll tell you why. I haven't talked to Chris Hernandez in years. We worked together a long, long, long time ago. I haven't talked to him since he became the city comms director, communications director. I don't know anything really about this case other than the facts that I read, that he was told by his superiors, don't tell the public the truth, make something up. And he blew the whistle on him. And he filed a lawsuit and said, that's not how government works. We either have no comment or we tell people the truth. We shouldn't mislead and we shouldn't lie. I actually think that's a lot bigger than 1.4 million. I don't think anybody's questioning that the city of Kansas City, Missouri, and the city manager and the office and even Mayor Q probably is involved in some of this stuff somehow. Most government entities are. We just talked about it. We just talked about an FBI director. Hell, Donald Trump could be doing this with his lieutenants, saying, tell them this, knowing it's not true. We need to expect more. And this is not murder or rape or some crime like that. But you know what is a crime? Electing officials, have them put people in positions of government and have them lie to us. This entire audience, I'm going to guarantee you the one thing that we all have in common, we want to clean government up to where they're not lying to us. They're not cheating. They're not scamming. We're going to completely clean it up. But if we can just clean it up half as much as it is now, we're gaining. What's one way to get Kansas City, Missouri's attention? Let me step back. What's one way to get Lee's Summit attention or Parkville or Olathe? What's one way to get their attention on things like this? Oh, God. They got sued and had to pay $1.4 million. I can't tell my comms director to go out there and make something up or lie. It's wrong. It's fundamentally wrong at every level. I think it should be worth more than that. I think free speech matters, and I think honest speech from our taxpayer-funded government officials and elected officials really matters. Give us a no comment. Great, no comment. Don't lie to us. It's what we really hate about the Democrats, isn't it? All the lies. Don't lie to us. When your superior goes and tells you to lie and your job relies on it, that's worth a lawsuit in government. It has to be. It simply has to be. So I'm cool with Chris Hernandez winning that $1.4 million, and I say go get him. And if there's more suits coming down the pike, get all the government officials you can. If their scam is to lie to the public, go get them. File a lawsuit and go get them. Uncanceled continues. Up next, Steven Spielberg and a new movie in Kansas City. The entire movie apparently is going to be in Kansas City, but not filmed in Kansas City. That's next on KCMO Talk Radio. All right, Best Offer KC is a terrific new sponsor here on KCMO Talk Radio, and I've gotten to know Mark and his team at Best Offer KC to be the genuine individuals that they are that truly care about people who need to sell their house fast. And it's a wide variety of reasons. One reason we haven't talked about is a gentleman in Shawnee who found himself in some legal trouble, okay? And it wasn't like the end of the world legal trouble. It was, I got lawyer bills I got to pay. I need to get out of my house and find a place to rent. I have money in my house. I got to pay these bills. I need to sell this thing fast and take care of my sticky situation that I'm in here. And Best Offer KC was there for him. They helped him all the way through when others wouldn't. Said, oh, you've got legal troubles. We're not going to deal with this. No, Best Offer KC worked him all the way through the process, got the house sold, got him his money so he could continue to pay his legal bills and defend himself for what he was defending. That's really rare. There's real compassion in that. And it's a business model at Best Offer KC. They know that somebody who needs to sell their house quickly is in a tight spot somehow, some way. That's the last minute that you want somebody to show up at your door and not be compassionate and understand the situation you're in. Some companies even mock these folks by naming their company about, like, they don't think your house is ugly. All right? They don't think that. There's no judging. This is all compassion. You need out. Best Offer KC will make you an offer. They're totally different than everyone else. Absolutely different. Best Offer. They're totally KC.com, helping you leave the hassle behind. Reach them at 816-338-SOLD for a quote. That's 816-338-SOLD. Online at bestofferkc.com, helping you leave the hassle behind.
From Gardner to Grain Valley, it's Kevin Kietzman Uncanceled on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio.
Coming up, Steven Spielberg's next movie is about Kansas City. That's in just a moment. Let's take a call here before we talk about that. This is John in Topeka on Uncanceled. Good morning, John. How are you in Topeka today?
Doing all right. How you doing, Kevin?
Excellent. Thank you.
Right on. Hey, I think there's an overlooked spot in Kansas City, Kansas for the Royals to build a stadium on. You know where Interstate 70 and 635 is?
Yes, sir.
On the northwest corner right there used to be a mall. So there's a big open hole just waiting for something to be built in there. And you have State Avenue and 57th Street. You got plenty of access. You even have a little hidey hole of a bridge underneath the interstate down to run to the River Road, so you can have access back to the interstate to 38th Street if you want to. I mean, there's several different things you can work with right there, and I bet you the land is pretty cheap.
I'll bet that land is cheap, and I've not heard them talk about that spot. And 5 miles down I-70 is, of course, the Legend. So I think they would probably do that first instead of trying to develop their own spot. But who knows? Maybe you're right. That is a big empty piece of land that could use developing.
But it's right there. If Northland, everybody's got access to.
Yep.
I mean, it's 635 from the north, Interstate 70 from the east and west, right there. I mean, it's situated perfectly. But anyhow, and there's nothing there. I mean, it's ready to be worked with. So.
I think the counter argument, thanks for the call, John, would be that there's a reason that there's nothing there. Is that the nicest way to say it, Mark? The reason there's nothing there.
Yeah.
So that's what we got. All right, so here we go. Spielberg's making a movie about Kansas City. You ready for this?
Yeah.
So we don't really like Spielberg that much, right? But he's married to a girl from Kansas City, Kansas. Is that right?
Okay.
Is that Kate Capshaw? Was
I
she an
didn't
actress?
realize that,
I think
but-
his wife. Yeah, longtime wife. Maybe he's from KCK.
Okay.
All right, so here's the deal. These things matter because apparently this movie is going to be a throwback. They're comparing it like to E.T. and saying Spielberg is tired of the futuristic, this and that. He's going back to the kinds of movies he used to make, which is like what? When Reagan was president? One of those things like, okay, America's more conservative. We're clearly turning away from a lot of what Hollywood's making these days and not watching it. I'm assuming since it's Spielberg, we're talking about a movie for theaters, not for Netflix. And it is apparently some sort of a sci-fi UFO type thing in the vein of E.T., which wasn't really about, you can call it sci-fi, and E.T. was from outer space, but it really was about the people here on Earth. It was a family story about a mom and these kids and the kids in the neighborhood. That's what Americans love. And apparently this thing, the entire thing is set in Kansas City. And in New Jersey, there are photographs popping up everywhere. Emily Blunt is in this movie. Colin Firth. Those are big actors, right? Do we know what they were in? Can you know more about this than me, I'm assuming?
They're big. I'm not good with movies, but they are two pretty big actors right now.
Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell's kid is going to be in it, Wyatt Russell. And in New Jersey, spotted on location, we have seen a neon Royals sign that flashes "Get season tickets now." We have seen police cars that say KCPD all over them. There is a television station that says KCXE4, which is Channel 4 here, but it's KC. Everything's KC in this movie. And their logo on the building says Kansas City's News. Everything in the thing is Kansas City. They have a hospital, apparently, that's out in kind of a rural area somewhere in New Jersey. The residents were like, why did they just hang a big sign on our hospital that says Jackson County Hospital? So apparently some devastation from outer space is coming to Kansas City in the next Spielberg movie. It is called The Dish. Now, the dish is another word for a satellite. So I don't know it sounds like communications to me. I don't know. And they've kept this one completely secret and under wraps. It's one of those projects.
Sounds like Ozarks when they didn't film in Missouri, right?
Right.
They filmed in Georgia, I think.
But this is Spielberg, and people are seeing it, and there's nothing really known about what the project is. I'm very curious.
Yeah, it should be interesting.
I wonder if they would have some sort of a premiere here. I would like to think they would. The indoor filming, the studio filming, will be in Atlanta.
Okay.
Because even leftists like Steven Spielberg don't want to make their movie in California because it's too expensive.
They like the tax break.
New Jersey tax breaks, Georgia tax breaks, all over the place. They're making a movie, a sci-fi movie, outer space movie, I don't know, alien movie. They're not saying. They just say it will fall under the category of sci-fi, and it's about Kansas City. So look out. There may be an asteroid coming this way or something like that. Here's more good news. Kraft Heinz. We all like the ketchup, right?
Oh, yeah.
You a Heinz or a Hunt's guy? You got a favorite ketchup?
I go Hunt's just because I think that's what Mahomes does.
Well, I thought he liked the Whataburger ketchup.
Oh, he does that too.
It's spicy ketchup, right?
Spicy ketchup from Whataburger.
Do you like it?
Yeah, it's not too bad.
What do you think's in it? What do you think the base ketchup is?
I think they do a little barbecue sauce with it,
Okay.
but I'm not for sure. I haven't looked up the recipe.
Mayonnaise and mustard, maybe?
I don't know.
It's kind of creamy. I don't like those mixed up.
Yeah.
Just give me the separate condiments and I'll do my own. I'm that guy. We know that he loves the spicy ketchup. I guess we're a Heinz guy. I like ketchup. I like ketchup on fries, so it doesn't really matter. They're investing $3 billion, billion with a B, $3 billion in improvements and new manufacturing plants in the United States. Kraft Heinz has announced. It's the Trump era. It's the golden age, folks. They have not done this in decades. Kraft Heinz has not put anything into their manufacturing plants. And out of nowhere, golden age, baby. Big, beautiful ketchup plants from Kraft Heinz. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend. Enjoy this fun Royals series and the great weather. The Vince Show is up next. Thanks for listening to Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio.